Alright guys, so in this video we're going to install and set up Express, and we'll create some basic routes. So in the last video we took the sample code from the Node.js website and just put that in here and created a very basic web server that basically just served us the text hello world. Alright, so we're going to get rid of everything in there in the app.js and make sure you stop the server. So we just want to do a Control-C to stop that. Okay, now we want to install Express, so let's go ahead and we're going to say, make sure you're in the web server folder, and we'll say npm install Express. Now you also want to add -- save because we want to add Express as a dependency to our package.json file, and this will do that automatically. So let's go ahead and run that. It's also going to create a Node modules folder, and that's where the Express application lives. Alright, so let's go back to Atom, and now you'll see we have Node modules. Now Express has a lot of dependencies, that's why you see all this other stuff as well. But it's right in here, Express. Okay, it's all the libraries and all that. Okay, now you very rarely will you have to touch anything in the Node modules folder. Alright, unless you created a Node module yourself that you're working on. Alright, so now that we have Express installed, what we're going to do in our app.js is we're going to create a variable. Now we could use var, but let's be a little more modern with ES 2015 and use const. Alright, so we're going to say const express equals require express. Okay, so that's how you bring in any Node module. Okay, you want to just require it like that. Now, since we have that Express variable, what we're going to do is we're going to set another variable called app, and we're going to set it to that Express function. Alright, and now we can take this app variable and we can create routes with it. So let's say app.get, because we want a route for a get request. Alright, and then first parameter will be the URI that we want, which is going to be /, which will be just the home, so localhost 3000, or whatever port we use. And then the second parameter is going to be a callback function. Okay, so we can go like this, and that's going to take the request and the response object. Okay, so in here, let's go ahead and take that response and we're going to call send. Okay, so .send. Whoops. And what I want to send is just the text hello world. Okay, now to be able to run the server, we need to take that app variable and we're going to call .listen. Okay, and then in here we're going to pass in a port that we want to use. So let's say 3000. And then that's also going to have a callback. And then we can do whatever we want in here. Let's just log, and we'll say server started on port 3000. Alright, and that should do it. So let's save it. And we're going to go back to git bash, and let's go ahead and run node. Now we've been doing app.js. You can also just say node app. Okay, you don't need the JS. And now we get server started on port 3000. And then if we go and reload, we get hello world. Now what I'm going to do is open up Chrome Tools with F12 and bring this down. I don't have it attached to the browser. And what I'm going to do is just reload here. And you can see our response. Now we're getting status 200. Notice that we didn't have to specify that as we did in the last video with the HTTP module. And if we click on that and we take a look at the headers, again you'll see status 200 OK. You'll see the request was a get port 3000. The content type is going to be text/HTML. Okay, we can change that if we want, but it's going to be HTML by default. Alright, and then you can see some other stuff here as well. Alright, so that's a good request. since it's the content type is text HTML, we could actually put HTML in here. So let's create another request. Okay, so we'll say get, and let's say we want it to be to/about. Alright, now another thing I want to show you is that if you want to use ES 2015 syntax and you want to use an arrow function instead of a callback like this, we could simply put parentheses and then an arrow like that. Alright, and that's going to take in request and response. Okay, and then what we can do is say res.send, and let's put in an H1 here, and we'll say about. Okay, save that, and now we're going to have to reload the server. Okay, so Control C, node app, and then if we go to /about, we now get an H1 with about. Alright, so you can see we can make routes to absolutely any page, any URI that we want. Now another thing we could do is we can send parameters too. So let's create another route, another get request route, and let's say we had something that was like users, and then we could say slash and then a username, so user/Brad. Now if we want to be able to get this, okay, if we want to do user/Brad, then this is going to have to be dynamic. So what we'll do is put colon and then name, like that. Alright, and then to get that within the route, let's create a variable. We'll say let user equals, now to get whatever's passed in here, we can use request dot params dot and then whatever it is, name. Okay, so this could just as well be product, and we could do request params product. Alright, so now in here, let's just concatenate. Okay, we'll use plus signs, and we'll put in user, which is equal to this request params dot name. So let's go ahead and save that, and we're gonna restart the server, and about should still work, but now let's go to users/Brad, and we get Brad. Now this could be absolutely anything. We'll say John, and we get John. Okay, so that's how we can pass along parameters in the URL and access them within the route. Now you probably don't want to just be sending bits of text out to the browser. You probably want to either load a template, which we're going to get into in a later project, or you may want to just serve a static HTML file. Okay, so in the next video I'm going to show you how we can make this into a static HTML server where we can actually serve pages.